What is going on, guys? Today we are looking at Bruno Fernandes' team at a group stage card, and it's an interesting one because we have just got announced this morning that he is in for a chance of Player of the Month. Does that mean we're getting a 90 Bruno Player of the Month, or does it mean we're getting a 91 Player of the Month? I'm interested. I feel like I've got a sneaky suspicion they're going to give us two 90s back to back. I was interested to see if he was going to be in this, because what they like to do is they don't like to give you two cards at once, but because I suppose he is not a packed player, and obviously he is an SBC and it's Player of the Month, it kind of just coincides with whatever, then more than likely he is going to get a Player of the Month if he does win. Obviously still got to win that vote, but I feel like they'll give us a 90. He will be expensive, hopefully not as expensive as last year, but with how good he is and the links that he's got, I feel like he's going to be very, very up there. He's coming in at about 880 on the Xbox and 940 on the PlayStation at this moment in time. We haven't had the third set of lightning rounds yet, so it's expensive at the moment. We've managed to get out of him, but he is a very, very good player. I have a soft spot for him. I think he's cracking in that cam role. I've used his gold card for quite some time, so definitely my advice would be Player of the Month. Wait and see what that is first. If he does get it, potentially that would be the move in terms of untradeable players, rather than putting almost 900k into this card. The question of this video is going to be, who are you excited for in team at a group stage? Who do you want? Who are you got? And have you packed any? So with Bruno then, 4-star, 4-star, obviously we already know that he's pretty good in that aspect. He's right-footed, 5'10", with a high work rate, and he is a lean body type. For me, he is 100% a cam. I suppose you could use him in that kind of like box-to-box role. For me, I like him up the pitch. He's got a wicked finish. His dribbling is absolutely sensational. Passing is brilliant. Pace, it's hit and miss. I do find that he's not necessarily the great at accelerating forward and really kind of bursting past people, but what he lacks in kind of like that pace and strength aspect is he always makes up for in his dribbling. His ball control at 93 is just unprecedented. Honestly, he is a wonder kid with the ball. Great at free kicks, really good at getting them through balls into strikers and wingers. Honestly, I really don't think there's going to be a time where I don't have a Bruno in my team or in the first team bench. No matter who I've got, I really do rate this card this year, and I think he works so well in that midfield for me. And just holding up that cam, obviously we've got the likes of someone like a Neymar in that position, a Ronaldinho. I like the kind of ball control players. I don't need them necessarily to be absolutely rapid, and they don't have to be the most meta cam. I enjoy playing with players that I like in that role because it's almost like a free role. As long as they've got decent stats, I'm not too picky on who I want. I just want a player I enjoy. I've got my meta strikers in Werner, and I suppose Aubameyang. Don't know if he's considered meta. Obviously Rashford's team at a group stage definitely will be, but in terms of the strikers I've got, they're all untradeable. I'm very happy with them at the moment, and I'm just waiting for kind of like the dip in the market and myself to get a lot more coins, as well as being able to do all these reviews for you. But the real standout stats for me, mainly shot power, long shot. Finishing with a chem star will look better. Obviously he will have more of a hunter on, I can imagine, in terms of foot bin votes, which Shadow's actually working the most, and I think that's kind of more based around people using him as a box-to-box. Obviously you'll get more out of a Shadow in terms of defensive upgrade than you will do in terms of a hunter, and because I like him as more of a cam, I don't really rate him too much as like a defensive player. I like him up the pitch. I will always go with that hunter, giving him 90 pace and 93 finishing with the 95 shooting overall, which we will have a look at the end bit of it for the footbin section of it. 91 passing, nothing wrong with that whatsoever. 90 dribbling, again, I really do rate it. And then obviously he's got good stamina at 98, and everything else is average, I'd say. His defending is good enough to get by as a cam, not good enough for me to put him as a DM, obviously. And then obviously physicals, being a lean body type, someone who's a very, very agile, that's pretty much where he's kind of going to lack in terms of stats. But anyway, let's get into some gameplay and show off Bruno Fernandes. So we did go with him in a FUT Champs game, and we've managed to go back-to-back wins with him, absolutely destroying opponents. And honestly, he's just wonderful to play with there. You see him knocking in goals, and it's definitely not uncharacteristic of him to actually score a lot of goals for me, especially in foot champs. I high press with my free players. Normally it's either a left or right mid pushing forward. At the minute I've got a Rashford there on the left, and then obviously Werner and Aubameyang are always chilling up top, and Bruno's just there kind of like chilling edge of the box, and he's wonderful at it. We see him go for the shot, keeper makes the save, and it's led to another goal contribution from a corner. Vidic always getting the header. Honestly, he's just next level at shooting, and we see even just kind of like the lackluster passing from him. We see Bruno making the run. It's a very simple one, and he's always going to score it. His finishing is good enough to really warrant him being almost like a striker. I would never put him there. I feel like Cam is kind of like as far forward as you'll be able to put him. Personally, I don't think striker would suit him. I like him in that kind of like in the middle of the pitch, and then he pushes with the ball. He finds his options. You get the 1-2s. We even see here, and a bit of defensive work. Very nice. Wins the ball back, and then we're back on the attack. And that sums up Bruno. Both ends of the pitch, he does very, very well. We see him pick up the ball, edge of the box here, little finesse, just off the post. So let's go into the overall then. He has just absolutely shot up on the PlayStation, going from 940 to 995. Obviously, the prices are everywhere at the moment. I feel like he will chill around there for the moment. He is a high-rated one out of a lot of them. We've obviously got a Messi and a De Bruyne. Obviously, Rashford's up there. There's so many good players that we really need to try and get a hold of. Obviously, some of them I want to try and get a little bit later when I'm not losing too much on tax. Man U players I will always try and get out straight away because I enjoy them. I play with a lot of them, and he's in my team. Bruno's already there, so I have a very nice comparison to kind of go with. How good is he in compared to his gold? And already he's on technically his 5th card. UCL I suppose doesn't count, but we're counting it for this moment, and then we'll have his 6th card with the player of the month, which is just absolutely nuts. I love how many special cards he gets, even in the generations. We saw last year, I know 3 of them are obviously summer heat upgrades, but still technically count as a card. Obviously 2 player of the months, a winter refresh, 2 informs, and obviously a Europa card, Europa man of the match for Sporting. The year before, 3 informs, man of the match, team of the season, inform, team of the season, and he's come from FIFA 15, which is just crazy that it weren't actually that long ago. Obviously we are in FIFA 21, so 6 years later he is absolutely banging it for us. And as you can see, 4-star, 4-star, we look at kind of like the voting, only 30 votes at the moment. Shadow obviously winning, and then we get Hunter. So if we do look at them, his Shadow does make sense if you kind of want him in this sort of role. It does make sense as a cam as well, I suppose, but because I like mine as a very, very attacking cam, I love the Hunter because you can just see the kind of the levels that it gives you going forward. You've got very, very nice shooting. Pace is very, very much up there with the best of them, even though, like I say, he's not a kind of like run past everyone sort of player. I leave that to a Werner, a Aubameyang, a Rashford. He's kind of like the maestro. He's the passer. He gets the ball. He can dribble. He's got the 4 stars. Obviously, he can pass. So for me, I just love him in that cam role. In terms of players that are similar, so we will go to here and see who it's chosen. Kevin De Bruyne, obviously he's got himself a team of the group stage that we will be looking at. Goretzka, wouldn't really rate him too much. I've heard good things about this guy. I really need to give him a go. And as you can see, icons, I've gone with a Kevin De Bruyne, which is pretty spot on, and then a Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho for me is more skillful, and again, he comes in there just because I personally love him. He may not be the most meta again, but skill-wise, ball control-wise, very, very similar to a Bruno, which I think is just a nice comparison in terms of how I play with him. And obviously, in terms of his links, Man U starting to now get a few informs. We've managed to get Rashford a couple of times. Obviously, a Pogba's up there. Martial yet to get something. Tellez one to watch. Van der Beek one to watch. They're starting to now slowly get more and more of their specials, which is always nice because you do get some good strong links. Portugal, plenty of icons that you can go with. Eusebio being obviously number 1, can't really argue with that. Ronaldo being number 2 more than likely. A few icons. Figo's in an SBC. Then you've got Bernardo Silva, who hasn't got anything yet, but normally ends up with some sort of special cards. And we do have that player of the month, Felix, that is out. That I think for me, 483k for quite a solid player isn't that bad at all. I'll be looking to try and complete him very, very soon so I can get a review out on him as well. And then we will try and do the player of the month, Bruno, if he isn't a 91 If he's a 90, I may weigh up the options because he's going to be very similar. But if he is a 91, we'll definitely be looking at him as well. But overall, very happy with him. 10 out of 10 in my opinion. Cracking stats. Really good play, and hopefully we do get a little bit of a value kicked off from him, because at 899, personally, wait for the player of the month at the very, very minimum, and then we can kind of go from there and see what the sort of comparison is, SBC or buy him. Let me know down below what you think about Bruno and who is your best team in the group stage so far, and I will see you all for the next one. Peace.